Welcome to another edition of Great Health, Abundant Happiness, and Outrageous Love. Mwah. What do you want to talk about tonight, my love?
So we're going to do a three-part series, maybe four, on the twin flame, the twin soul, and the soulmate.
Okay.
So tonight we're going to specifically talk about the twin flame. And we've done a series on twin flames before. And one of the reasons that Jeffrey and I decided to do another series is to talk about the difference between all three.
Okay.
But also to talk about the fact that, and we'll get into this, that twin flames specifically, everyone does not have a twin flame. So if you are seeking your twin flame and that is your main mission on earth, you may be seeking something that doesn't exist, right?
You could.
You could be, but there are some signs if you are a person with a twin flame.
Let's first go to, what's the definition of a twin flame? A lot of people may not know.
Exactly. So a twin flame is actually where a single soul has ascended into a high vibrational frequency and a very enlightened state. So much so that it actually splits into two separate souls and inhabits two different bodies. So you'll actually have two halves of the same soul. So they always talk about mirroring with twin souls, because when you do meet your twin soul, it is like meeting a reflection of yourself. And that's why a lot of people describe it as coming home, being comfortable, things like that. So I just want to preface again, everybody does not have a twin flame. So, everyone shouldn't be taking classes or master classes or reading books or watching YouTube videos on how to find my twin flame, because again, they don't exist for everyone. It may exist for you in another lifetime, and a lot of that really depends on where you are and what you believe in as far as past lives as well.
Yeah, so Karen and I met, and I think you're going to go into a little bit of that, but we met and experienced a great relationship. We're 30 years, almost 30 years. Married, and things seem to be getting better and better. So we have a great story, and then we heard about these twin flames. I'll never forget, Karen came to me and said, "We're twin flames." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So she read the whole description. So I do buy into that. The interesting thing that I find about it is, a soul splitting and going into two separate bodies and then rejoining. Because I think we all believe, we all come from source, and we're all connected at some point. At the very top, the mothership, the source, God, whatever, all pieces that have come down here to experience this life. We're all one. So it's a really interesting concept.
Right.
The technical term about a twin flame, I do get it because there is a special attraction that we have, and we knew that before we ever read anything about this.
Right.
So it's right on the money with what we experienced personally before we read the descriptions.
Right, and we always knew we had something really special and different, but again, we feel that everyone can have the kind of love that we have, and that's why we do these videos. But this particular video happens to be specifically on twin flames. So you can usually determine if you have a twin flame by certain feelings within your lifetime, like not feeling attracted to everyone. And by that I mean, there's all sorts of types of attractions. So you may be attracted to a lot of people, but I'm talking about the kind of attraction where you want to spend the rest of your life with this person.
You don't mean everyone, you mean anyone.
Exactly.
Right.
And a lot of times people get into relationships, people that have a twin flame, and they'll get into a relationship, they know it's not the right relationship. Because the people that have a twin flame have this underlying sense that the perfect person is out there. And I've always known it. I wrote about it. We talk about the paper I wrote when I was in college. I wrote about, my perfect person. And, again, we're not talking about physicality. We're talking about something much deeper than physicality. That when you connect with this person, it is life-changing. And you almost feel as if the world is exploding in the most beautiful way. It's sort of the fireworks that people, talk about in the movies, but you don't really, a lot of people say, I didn't really, have all that. And I'm not talking about fireworks that when it's very hard to explain. Fireworks in that the world looks different.
Well, let me throw something in there, because before we met, I had other girlfriends and other relationships, and this doesn't.
You did?
Yeah, this just doesn't have to be a love relationship.
Right.
It could be best friends. It could be,
You're talking about the twin flame.
I'm just talking about relationships on this journey.
Right.
And so, I always really get along with most other people. So, I think when you're saying that connection, you don't really have that connection with, you said everyone, but you mean anyone. You don't really have it with anyone specific, that the connection we're talking about.
Right.
But it doesn't mean...
And I've had other relationships too, but they weren't the same thing. It
right.
was very, very
So what I'm saying is, a lot of great relationships that could be perfect. I mean, I'm always, I've said in the past that when the time is right and you find that person you can settle down with and you can make things work and build a great life together, there's a lot of people that can work in that scenario.
Which is why we want to make this a series and talk about not just twin flames, but twin souls and soulmates, so that everyone understands the difference and that you can know what you're looking for and not be misled to think that you have to have your twin flame and your soulmate, all together. That doesn't always exist. And we don't want to tell people to chase something that doesn't exist. We want to tell people to desire something that fills their heart, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the basis of this, you have to love yourself first.
Right.
You don't really need anyone to complete you.
Right.
But when you do find this other person, the significant other, a twin flame, you know it. So I've been studying a lot recently, going into groups and watching people talk about this, and consultants, as Karen said, some people are out there trying to help people that are confused go find this person, help them identify the person. Not so sure that you're going to go take a course and learn how to go out and find your twin flame. Right. It just happens. I think you were going to talk about how it happened for us, just to give an example.
Very briefly,
right?
Exactly. Okay. So again, if you do have a twin flame, the universe will bring you together. That is a guarantee. It's like two magnets. I mean, you can be on different continents and something, I want to say something crazy will happen that will bring you together, whether you're on a plane or in an airport, whatever it is. I mean, you hear these stories all the time, right? So in our particular case, we happen to both be at the same shopping mall at the same time. And we had maybe a 5-minute exchange. We were waiting in line. I was behind him. A 5-10 minute exchange. That was it. And we did not know anything about each other's lives after that for 3 years. The exchange happened. And what's very interesting is, because you'll hear a lot of twin flames talking about running and chasing. And we have different beliefs about what that means. So we're going to talk about our theories on that. So we met, had that brief exchange. The universe brought us together. I mean, there was an absolute, happening and of course there was a physical attraction, but it was completely over after that encounter, and we really never thought about each other again. And the reason was we were not ready for each other. So what happens with twin flames, because it's the soul has split and you're really looking at yourself, if you're not fully complete within yourself and have that, bulletproof self-worth and bulletproof self-love, you're not going to be able to recognize that when you meet your twin flame if the timing is not right, which it wasn't for us at that time. I mean, we hadn't had enough life experience. Fast forward 3 years, on a Friday after work, I mean, all of the circumstances just fell into place where, I had been dating somebody, and Jeffrey had been dating somebody, and he was on the rocks with his girlfriend of, I think, 3 years, and I'd been dating someone of almost 3 years, and we had had a disagreement, and I just said, I'm going to go out with a really good friend of mine, and we went out, happened to be the same place where Jeffrey was. Now, none of this is coincidence. This is the universe aligned everything and brought us there. And there were so many people at this place. It was outside, and everybody was outside on this big lawn area.
I think it's important to state too, when we met that day Christmas shopping, it was a whole nother town, a whole nother city.
Yes.
This is a big city. This is Boston where we met.
Right.
Again, what Karen's talking about. This isn't small town USA where we all go to the same cafe and there's one bar in town.
No.
This is the big world out there in Boston.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And that's a great point. So the first meeting was out in this suburb of Boston, and the second meeting was in a downtown area of Boston, completely opposite ends of the not Massachusetts. Massachusetts. Sorry. So across this whole sea of people on a Friday afternoon, I spotted Jeffrey, and I immediately remembered that I had met him 3 years prior. And again, this was such a brief encounter, and so much had happened in my life at that point in time. And we started a conversation, and this story, I can talk forever about the story because it was just it's a very fun story. But the point is, the next morning he called me at 8 o'clock. Normally someone wouldn't do that unless they were so comfortable and so self-assured in what they were doing. And that's how this entire reuniting, where the universe brought us back together. And we were lucky because we were ready. We were very ready at that point in time. You may encounter your twin flame a couple of times where you're not ready. Maybe one of you is and maybe one of you isn't. But you will keep being reunited. The universe just pulls you together. It happens.
So it's just have to put a finer point on that, because we were brought together. We met in a line. Like you meet so many other people at Christmas shopping. There's crowds. But 3 years later, we were just talking about this on a walk. It is kind of wild that Karen saw me and remembered me from that 10-minute conversation 3 years prior. I mean, it's pretty crazy when you think about it.
It is crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's something
Not
that brought us
only
back
remembered
together.
you, but spotted you, and then immediately recognized you. That's the other thing with twin flames. There is a very intense recognition, because in a sense you're seeing yourself, right, in this other person. You don't know that, and you're not aware of it until you really have the intense communications that you and I had right from the beginning. And we never pulled any punches about anything. It was,
right.
we talked about this today, that there was never a fear of, should I wear this? Will he like me? Should I act like this? I mean, I just was so authentic in who I was, and I felt, and I've always felt that, you have been as well. And we never had to be anything or anyone for each other. In ourselves, we were so perfect together. And previous relationships, sometimes you do something and the other person doesn't think it's so funny or, or so smart. And sometimes they do something and it could change your opinion of them. And that's because you're not really seeing the authenticity of that person. And so when you see things that are uncharacteristic, it makes you question them. We never have had that ever in the almost 30 years that we've been together.
The other thing, the comfort factor. It's like, you're home, and I said this too before we knew about twin flames. Sometimes if we had words, because when you build a relationship, not everything goes completely smooth all the time. You might have words, you might argue about something. I would always say, I was hard on Karen like I was hard on myself. You know how when you're hard on yourself, if you do something wrong at work or out there in life and you say something wrong to somebody, you're pretty hard on yourself. And I always looked at us as one. This was again before the whole twin flame thing. I always thought, I'm talking to Karen like I'm talking to myself. Sometimes we could be hard on ourselves.
Right.
And it was always interesting. I always brought that statement up that I felt like I was being hard on myself when I'm talking to you. If I'm saying, you shouldn't have done it this way, right? And then afterwards, I'm like, why did I say that to her, right? I was kind of hard on her like I'm hard on myself.
But because with the twin flame relationship, when you recognize something in your twin flame, really you're recognizing it within yourself.
Right.
And it's, whether it's something good or bad. So this doesn't change your opinion, but we go through times where there are things that we might do that we wish that we hadn't done, or that we don't like about ourselves. Something like that comes along, and we recognize it in our twin flame because it's from within ourselves. So it's that mirror. And so there can be that dynamic as well, but the magnitude of the connection of the soul can really overcome all of those things, because when you realize that you're with your twin flame, you start to understand that that this is what you're doing. So it's a very interesting, very interesting dynamic.
Yeah, so you use the term mirror. In the twin flame communities, they call it mirroring. So if you see something you don't like in your twin flame, it usually is something that you don't like about yourself, or something you're seeing yourself projecting out into that person.
Right.
So it's mirrored back at you. So they call it mirroring if you read up about it.
Exactly. And although when you meet and you are able to connect because you are at that overflowing stage of love, there are things that come and go, maybe on a daily basis, where you're not 110% with yourself. Maybe something came up, or you did something you weren't proud of. Maybe you let your ego take over. I mean, we are not 100% enlightened human beings here. That's why we're here, actually, which is another interesting dynamic, is the twin soul meets on this planet. So if you have any questions about twin flames, we would love to answer them for you. There's no charge. We're going to answer them for free. There's a lot of different things that people talk about, sometimes an age difference. But the one thing I want to say, Jeffrey was talking to someone else who thought they had a twin flame, but they felt the need to, I need to get rid of my twin flame. You never need to get rid of your twin flame.
They want, how do I disconnect from them?
Right.
So, I see a lot of people talking about it. Again, what do we know? We only know what we know about us, and what we're sharing our journey with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So all we're doing is sharing what we've experienced. We're not studying this and trying to train people how to find their twin flame or how to do this.
No.
When you say, I need to disconnect from my twin flame, it's not a twin flame. You don't want to disconnect from your twin flame. It doesn't make sense. So, all the running and chasing, if you read up on this, you'll see this. And if you're in this community, you'll understand the running and chasing. We don't believe in a lot of that. I mean, at the end of the day, there are a lot of people that are just confused. Again, this is our definition, confused about what a twin flame really is. Because once you find your twin flame, you're not running from it. You're not trying to disconnect from that connection. It just doesn't make sense. Once you find it, unconditional love. And unconditional love is just that. It's unconditional. It's always there. It's very pure. You're not going to run from that. You're not going to disconnect from it. It doesn't make sense. So we just want to share what we've experienced, how we came together, what we've experienced through these 30 years, how it's growing and enhancing and getting better each day. And hopefully shed some light and help some other people, live their best life. That's the whole concept here.
Exactly. And we also want to save people some time and heartache from, if you don't know that you have a twin flame, and I think it's something that is innate. But if you don't know, but you've heard about twin flames and you really are intrigued and want to find your twin flame, I think that needs to be something that you put behind some other things like finding your soulmate, and always put it behind finding yourself, because that's number one, is finding yourself in your own completeness. And the other thing I want to say about twin flames, which is really interesting about us, we didn't realize it, when we first got together, but we never said you and I, me and you. We always use the word us, and a lot of people, the first people we had dinner with my parents, I think, maybe a month after we were together, they flew into town and they said, you keep saying us for everything, which they thought was wonderful, but we had only been together for maybe a month. And of course, once we did get together, we knew right away that we were always going to be together. We didn't hold back on talking about, marriage, spending our life together, or kids. And that's the explosion I'm talking about. That's where the world is so different than what it was before. And the other thing with twin flames is that you want to be the best possible version of yourself because of this mirroring effect. So these are all, things that we wanted to share with you about twin flames. Want to make sure you're not out there chasing a twin flame, because we don't want people doing that. But keep your eyes open for your soulmate. And if you think you have a twin flame, you'll know it, and you will know when you meet that twin flame, him or her.
Yeah, it's like any other goal. Let me just add this one thing before we wrap, as I'm listening to Karen. It's like any other goal, any advice we give to anybody when you're talking about goals and things you're working towards. Once you have that idea of what you want, that feeling, you know what you want and why, you set the intentions and just let it flow, let it come to you. I mean, that's the way you look at it. So it'll happen. Everything happens the way it should. And you just need to think about it that way.
Absolutely.
Right.
So stay tuned for the rest of this series. Wishing you great health, abundant happiness, and outrageous love from the chilly nest. We've got close to a foot of snow out there. I think I'm wearing my really warm long underwear.
I just know it's cold. We had a nice walk out there.
Yeah.
Cold, but I'd say very brisk, and it's so great.
Beautiful.
Winter's upon us all of a sudden. It's just awesome.
It is a magical winter wonderland outside.